And let me just talk about enlightenment just for a moment, if I may, before we open up. Because many people are here because they want to awaken and so and so and so and so. Awakening or enlightenment, and I use those words interchangeably, although awakening has certain nuances to it. It has other meanings. But awakening and enlightenment on the spiritual level, is not an endless state of bliss, much as the self, the spiritual self, wants it to be. And this is a great error, especially when we talk about enlightenment. That conjures up all sorts of pictures of a self that is in a state of light, yes, light emanating, or seeing everything as light, and therefore is untouched by the human experience. That it's some super elevated, perfect state. But it has to be said, and I will say it again and again, it is not that. That's the picture that we've inherited from other cultures, other times, colored by history and geography and tradition and culture and, to some extent, religion. There's nobody that gets enlightened. It's not the self that gets enlightened. You don't become an enlightened person. You don't become an awakened person. It's not the person that becomes awakened. What takes place, and that's why it's so direct and actually very possible and accessible. What takes place, if you want to call it takes place, is that the layers, what I call the layers of obscuration, the veils of perception created by identity, me as this, me as that, which on a gross level, if you like, is our roles that we play. Yeah, I am a mother, I am a teacher, I am a this, I am a that. And on a more subtle level is based on the very experience we're having, which I go back to what I said earlier. I am lucky, I am unlucky. I am worthy, I am unworthy. Yeah, because of the experience we're having, according to whether we want it or don't want it, whether it makes us feel uplifted, inspired, and special, loved, taken care of, or does the opposite. These are the layers of obscuration that create identity. And if you examine your life, and I can examine my life in the past, at some point, and if you examine the collective mass human consciousness, it is totally enmeshed in that, in those layers of identity. Those veils of obscuration is called Maya. That is Maya. And you see yourself, you see the world, you see reality through that lens. You see life through that lens. And that accounts for everything. It accounts for war, it accounts for greed, it accounts for corruption, it accounts for harm, it accounts for suffering. Yeah. When those veils of obscuration start to come undone, and this is the work that we do, you start to embark on the process or journey of clear seeing, and you start giving your allegiance not to that. Gradually or suddenly, or with a peak here or a peak there, you start to recognize that there is something more permanent, more eternal, more present, more vital, more primary than those identities, those veils. And that is awareness itself. It is not the self that is being aware. Again, it's like not the self that gets enlightened. It is simply the fact of awareness. Now, we call it open awareness, we call it openness, we call it presence, we call it many, many different things to try and give a sense of what it is so that you can recognize it. Once it is recognized, we can call it beingness, it starts to filter in to and through your phenomenal experience. Yeah? It starts to filter. You can call that the light of being. Yeah, the light of clear seeing, the light of awareness. It's light because it's unencumbered by phenomena, but it flows into and through phenomena. And as it does so, you start to be free because you are that. You were always that, and you are that, and you will be that. It is prior to phenomenal experience. That's awakening. That's enlightenment. But the self, the person, doesn't become enlightened. You don't become a better person. Neither does your experience become eternally blissful. Bliss is a state of mind. It comes and it goes. You may experience some bliss or some ecstasy or some, yeah. You may start to see more beauty, more joy. But even that is a phenomenal experience. It's because there's been a shift in perception. And great, that's beautiful. And you can appreciate that. But that is not enlightenment. It's a state. An enlightenment awakening is no state. It's a fact, the fact of awareness. That is very ordinary, very direct, and very available.